It was around 2:45 a.m. when we pulled off the I-10 into the gravel-strewn lot of Taco Bell in the 319. The sign buzzed overhead, half lit, flickering like it couldn't decide whether to stay alive or die out. My wife Marisol had fallen asleep in the yaw passenger seat. Her head leaned against the window, her arms folded tight like she was protecting herself from something I couldn't see. I nudged her gently. "You want anything?" She blinked awake, groggy but polite. "Just a black coffee, no food." That was always the divide. Me with my burritos and spreadsheets, her with her caffeine and silence. We hadn't spoken much since the clinic called, to say we'd missed our final appointment. I told her I'd make it up to her. She didn't believe me, and honestly, neither did I. Inside, the place was empty, dead quiet except for the low hum of a cooler motor. A woman sat hunched over in a booth by the window, rocking back and forth like a metronome. Her hands clutched a half-eaten Crunchwrap, her eyes hollow and wet. Across the counter stood a teenage girl with a crooked name tag, Eva, who looked like she hadn't slept in a week. I ordered our stuff. Eva didn't speak, just keyed it in, her hands trembling. Behind her, the kitchen looked abandoned. No fryers sizzling, no crew music playing, just silence. Marisol, ever the nurse, approached the booth woman with that soft, calm voice she reserved for emergency rooms and drunks. "Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman looked up slowly. "They put something in the beef," she whispered. I gave a short laugh, dry and too loud. "Evelyn, it's just food." She slammed her fists on the table. Sauce packets scattered like confetti. "You don't know what they did." I looked to Eva for help. She didn't even blink, just stared at the drive-thru monitor like it was whispering secrets. We took our food to go. I should have thrown it away. We were staying at the Wyndham near the airport when the FBI knocked. Marisol had just stepped out of the shower. I was scrolling emails, half reading a performance report for a store in Yuma. The knock wasn't frantic, just final. 2 agents, both in black windbreakers, showed their badges. "Daniel Gutierrez?" the taller one asked. "Yes." "I'm Agent Vasquez." "This is Agent Kerr, mind if we come in?" Marisol appeared in the doorway, towel wrapped around her, face pale. I nodded. They stepped in. "We need to ask you about an incident at Taco Bell, Era 319. Night of the 14th? Marisol and I exchanged looks. "Yeah," I said. "We stopped there, late." "Why?" Vasquez didn't hesitate. "A woman named Evelyn Rios turned herself in 2 nights ago. Said she drowned her newborn in the store bathroom sink." My mouth went dry. "She claims the baby stopped being hers after she ate the beef. Said she saw things in the meat, that it changed her." Marisol sat down hard on the bed. Her hands trembled in her lap. "I told you we should have said something," she whispered. "I told you she wasn't okay." I had no response. My stomach flipped. "Anything strange happened that night?" Vasquez asked. I told them about Eva, the weird silence, Evelyn's rant. But when I described the booth and the outburst, Kerr shook his head. "Security footage shows you 2 talking to an empty booth. There's no record of a customer named Evelyn, and no employee on shift named Eva." I started to argue, but nothing made sense. I couldn't even remember tasting the food, just the feeling afterward, like something inside me was watching. That night I dreamt Evelyn forced a cold, soggy burrito down my throat. It was filled with something that moved. The following Monday, I drove back to 319. The manager on duty was a skinny guy named Rick with a mop of frizzy curls and a stain on his polo. He barely looked up from the tablet when I showed my ID. "Regional, huh? Haven't had one of you down here in months." I asked about Eva. "Eva?" he repeated, frowning. "We don't have anyone by that name. Not now, not ever." "You sure? You got the right store?" I asked to see the shift logs. He handed over a clipboard. 4 employees worked that night: James, Tanya, Raul, and himself. No Eva. I requested the security footage. He shrugged and pulled it up on a dusty desktop in the back office. The grainy footage rolled. There I was, ordering at the counter. Marisol talking to No one. The booth was empty. Completely. I stared, dumbfounded as Marisol reached out toward air, talked to it, flinched from it. Rick tapped a key and paused it. "Y'all all right?" he asked, softer now. I lied and said yes. When I got home, a package was waiting for me. No return address, just grease-stained paper folded into a delivery bag. Inside, a used pregnancy test, 2 red lines, and a Taco Bell receipt. The item list, blank, but handwritten in ketchup across the bottom. "Your order is ready. Come back." Marisol didn't cry when she left. She didn't yell or throw things. She just packed her suitcase in silence while I stood in the kitchen trying to eat a breakfast burrito that tasted like iron and rot. "I keep seeing her," she said, not looking up. "That woman, in the NICU. Same eyes." I didn't argue. "I can't do this anymore, Danny. You missed everything. Even now you're still trying to fix things like their spreadsheets. Like if you audit the trauma, it'll balance out." She handed me a note. I didn't open it right away. When she was gone, I did. I keep hearing the baby cry at night, even when I'm not at work. I think we brought something back with us. That night, I stood in the bathroom mirror and bit my tongue hard. Blood filled my mouth. I spit it out and stared into the sink. It looked exactly like the one in that Taco Bell restroom. And I swear, for a second, I heard a splash. I went back. I told myself it was for closure, that I needed answers. But really, I just wanted to feel something again. The manager was new. Late 40s, gruff but polite. "Looking for something in particular?" he asked. I nodded toward the booth. "Just that table." He followed my gaze, then sighed. "Yeah, that's Evelyn's spot. Folks see her sometimes, especially the ones with regrets." He glanced at my wedding ring tan line. "Let me guess, sleepless nights? Shadows in the shower drain? Cold spots in the bed where she used to lie?" I nodded, barely breathing. "You're not the first," he said. As I walked out, the drive-thru speaker crackled to life. "Hi, welcome to Taco Bell. Would you like to try our new Mother's Special, My mouth went dry. A low whimper came through the static, then a baby's cry, and then the line went dead. They say your life doesn't end in a car crash, it just takes a different route. For me, that route led straight to the graveyard shift at Taco Bell number 473 in Gallup, New Mexico. 1 DUI, 1 totaled Corolla, and 1 shattered scholarship later, I was wiping sour cream off touchscreens and praying for slow nights. Gallup's the kind of town that looks like it gave up trying decades ago. Just a smear of neon and cracked asphalt off I-40, full of truckers and night drifters. That Taco Bell? It was the only thing open after midnight unless you counted the sketchy gas station across the lot. I worked alone most nights, headphones in, mopping dried Baja Blast from the floor. My best friend Luz used to joke that the Taco Bell was haunted by lost cheesy gorditas. She was loud, chaotic, vegan, ran a YouTube channel called Late Night Bites. She made even this dump seem cool, said she was going to do a special episode called America's Weirdest Late Night Fast Food, and of course picked my shift to shoot it. Her last text to me was at 3:21 a.m. "Dude, this place is a vibe. The sauce tastes like copper. Meet me at the Motel 6. I feel weird." I waited. She never showed, never posted the video either, just disappeared. I thought maybe she bailed. Luz was like that, flaky, always chasing a high. But then her car turned up, still in the Taco Bell lot, still locked, still had her camera gear inside. That's when I knew something was wrong. I pulled the security footage, watched it over and over. Luz walks in, places an order. But something was off. The woman at the counter, her name tag said, Betty. We don't have a Betty, never have. And the weirdest thing? Luz walks into the freezer at 3:24 a.m. and never comes out. I didn't sleep after that. Just kept watching the footage on repeat like a freak, trying to catch a detail I missed. I'd been on break, sitting in my car, vaping and scrolling Reddit, while my best friend stepped into something Wrong. The next night, I waited until Roland, my manager, left. I grabbed the freezer keys and went in. The air hit me like a punch, freezing and metallic, the kind of cold that makes your bones ache. Most of the pallets were stacked neat, but one was slightly off, like it had been dragged. I moved it. Beneath, the pallet of frozen beef crumbles was Luce's boot. Vegan leather, blue lace, just one. I started shaking. I wanted to scream, but the sound got caught in my throat. Then I saw the note, wedged in the busted drive-thru intercom speaker next, to the back freezer door. Come back hungry. B. That's when I realized this wasn't just a disappearance. It was a setup. I confronted Roland the next day. He looked tired, pale, like he already knew. He shut the door, locked it, sat down, and didn't speak for a full minute. Finally, he said, 473 wasn't always a Taco Bell. Turns out it used to be a 24-hour diner, Betty's all-night dinette, burned down in '99. Owner and 6 regulars never made it out. Fire started in the deep fryer, Roland said. But the weird part? Witnesses said Betty kept cooking, flames everywhere, and she was still flipping burgers. He opened his desk drawer, pulled out an old newspaper clipping. Grainy photo, black and white. The same building, barely changed. Headline, Diner Inferno, 7 missing. And right there, dead center of the picture, a woman with a crooked smile, wearing a paper hat. Her name tag said Betty. My stomach turned, because that's the same woman I saw in Luce's video. A week later, I got a package, no return address, just a greasy Taco Bell bag sealed with red tape. I hesitated. I wanted to throw it out, but I didn't. Inside, half a box of Cinnabon Delights, Luce's favorite, her chipped blue nail polish on the edge of one like she'd bitten into it. And beneath the napkins, a severed finger, manicured, bruised, gripping a black and red sauce packet, salsa muerte. My knees gave out. I sat on the floor for what felt like hours, staring at it. I don't know how I kept it together. I didn't call the cops. I didn't go to the hospital, I just stared. There was a receipt tucked inside. Printed in all caps, your order isn't complete, dine in only. I don't even remember driving back. But that night, I clocked in for one last shift. The kitchen felt wrong. The lights flickered more than usual. The fryer hissed like it was whispering. At 3:17 a.m., the drive-thru headset buzzed. Static, sharp, then a voice. Crackly, low. Pull forward. The monitor lit up. The camera feed glitched. The parking lot wasn't ours anymore. It looked like an old gas station. Dusty, sepia-toned, like I'd slipped into a postcard from 1976. And in the pickup window, a shadow leaned out. Hairnet, apron, no face, just teeth. I screamed. I didn't even think. I bolted out the back, grabbed my keys, floored it straight into the drive-thru speaker. Metal crunched. Sparks flew. The power went out. I didn't stop until I hit Arizona. I tried to move on. I really did. But you don't just walk away from something like that. I started smelling fryer grease in my dreams. I'd wake up with my mouth watering, not for food, for the salsa muerte. I craved it even though I never tasted it. I started gagging anytime I touched food wrapped in paper. Burritos, burgers, didn't matter. Couldn't do it. My brain would flash with images. Luce in the freezer, Betty behind the counter, that grinning void in the window. I lost my job, obviously. No car. Nowhere to go. My aunt let me crash for a bit, until I woke up screaming about sauce at 3 a.m. After that, she called my probation officer, said I was back on something. He didn't believe a word of it, thought I was tweaking. Violated my probation. Now I'm technically on the run. But here's the thing. I'm not crazy. Because a year later, I saw it. Scrolling TikTok one night, half drunk and hating myself, I came across a trend. Ghost Taco Bell. Location tag, Gallup, the top video. A kid, barely 17, biting into a Crunchwrap that oozed this thick, dark fluid. He grimaced, laughed. "Tastes like pennies," he said, captioned with a skull emoji, and Salsa muerte. The comments were all jokes. People saying it was fake, a promo, a filter. But I saw his eyes. He wasn't faking, he was hungry. I went back. I know how it sounds, but I had to. I needed answers, or closure, or maybe I just missed her. Taco Bell number 473 was shuttered, boarded, up broken windows, a weather-warped sign out front, closed for renovation. But the door was unlocked. Inside, the place looked preserved, not abandoned, tables wiped, fryers clean, like someone had just left. I walked past the counter, toward the freezer. It was wide open. Inside was the smell of scorched meat and cinnamon sugar. And at the center, stacked on the floor, were 7 unopened sauce packets, all marked Salsa Muerte, and 1 boot. I took a step forward. The lights buzzed. Somewhere in the back, a bell rang. "Order up," someone whispered, and then I saw her. Loose, standing behind the counter, but her eyes were gone, just sockets still smiling, and beside her, Betty, holding a tray. "Welcome back, Teo," she said. "We saved your order." 12 years clean, and it still takes just 1 letter to rip it all open. It showed up last Tuesday. No return address, just my name in that childish, looping script I hadn't seen since CPS took her. Inside, a single grease-stained napkin. No message, just the words. "I work nights now. Taco Bell number 872 Central Ave, come see me, Mom." I stared at it for hours. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Even called the Taco Bell corporate number. They had no record of that store. Claimed it burned down in 2015, but I know her handwriting. I know my girl, so here I am. Graveyard shift at the laundromat just ended, and I'm parked outside a Taco Bell glowing like an old TV left on mute. The windows are fogged. The neon open sign buzzes like it's trying to tell me something. My palms sweat. The air smells like warm tar and burnt oil. I take one last deep breath, then step inside. The fluorescent lights flicker. Behind the counter stands a young woman in uniform. Name tag reads Mirabelle. Her hair is different, longer maybe, but that face, it's hers. A little older, sharper around the jaw, but it's her. She smiles. Too wide, too still. "Mom, you came." I freeze. My mouth's dry. I want to hug her, scream, apologize, but nothing comes out. She slides a Crunchwrap across the counter. "You always loved these." I haven't eaten beef in a decade. I just nod. That's when I notice her eyes. Too wide, too glassy, like someone left her on defrost too long. "Mirabelle," I whisper. She tilts her head. "You look tired, Mom. Want to sit?" There's something in her voice, like static beneath the sweetness. I take a step back instead. I came for a reunion. What I found was something else entirely. She keeps talking, but the words twist in my ears. "Been working the fryer since I was 6, she says, like it's a badge of honor. 6. No, she was taken at 4. "Remember the night you seasoned me right?" she adds, chuckling. That chuckle sounds like a soda machine jamming up, wet and mechanical. I stare harder at her arms. Under the too short sleeves, her skin's got a weird sheen, shiny, like melted wax, and her elbows. Are those stitches? Red plastic? Straws? Her joints look fused with red straws. "Mirabelle," I say, louder now. "What's going on?" She looks at me, calm. "Don't you want to meet my co-workers?" The kitchen door creaks open. Something moves in the shadows. Not walking, sliding. Shoes squeaking against the floor. I smell something foul, like old fryer grease and wet cardboard. "No," I say, stepping back. I shouldn't have come." She tilts her head again, smile frozen. "But you're on the schedule." "What?" "You're late for your shift." I bolt toward the exit. The automatic doors don't open. I smack the glass, slap the sensor. Nothing behind me. She's still smiling, still watching, her head twitching every few seconds. "You belong here now." The shadows behind her multiply. I grab the fire extinguisher, swing it at the window. It cracks. Once, twice. On the third hit, it gives. I crawl through the shards, cutting my palm. Behind me, she whispers, "I'll save your seat in the break room, Mom." The last thing I hear as I run into the night is the fryer kicking on. I didn't go to work that day, or the next. I stayed home, blinds drawn, clutching that napkin, like a lifeline. I called the parole officer, told him I had a bad dream, that's all. Couldn't sleep. He sounded skeptical. A week later, I couldn't help it. I went back. Taco Bell No. 872 was gone. Just a fenced-off dirt lot on Central Avenue. No sign it had ever been a restaurant. Just a few cinder blocks and a rusted-out soda machine half buried in sand. I asked a guy walking his dog nearby what happened. He gave me a weird look. Burned down, years ago. Nobody goes near it. I wandered the lot, heart pounding, trying to find proof I wasn't losing my mind, and then I saw it. Half buried near the back under a tumbleweed, a name tag. Lola. Crooked letters, smudged. The back sticky with something dark and dried. Blood. I staggered backward, bile rising in my throat. Dropped the tag, ran to the car, didn't stop shaking until I got home. That night, I checked my mailbox. Another napkin. "You're late again. We're short-staffed," I screamed. I tried burning the napkins. They don't burn right. They curl, but they don't ash. Just sit there, reeking of old oil. The nightmares started next. Mirabelle, if that's her, feeds me Crunchwrap stuffed, with teeth, with hair. I chew because she's watching, because I want her to love me again. I see her at every drive-thru now, not just Taco Bell, Dunkin', McDonald's. Same glassy eyes, same stitched elbows. One night, I woke up with sauce, packets in my bed, real ones, mild, fire. One said, "See you soon." I stopped answering the phone. My landlord said someone called claiming to be my shift supervisor. They said, "Your apron's still in the locker." I never wore an apron. The laundromat fired. Me said I kept putting fryer baskets in the dryers. I don't remember doing that. I sleep during the day now. Windows boarded, lights off. At night I hear the intercom whispering in my vents, "Would you like to try our mother's special TM?" I gave up trying to be normal. Some nights I walk Central Avenue with my old rehab badge in my pocket, hoping to find someone who remembers me, remembers Mirabelle. No one does. The people I talk to, junkies, night shift drivers, they say Taco Bell No. 872 still shows up sometimes, just for the lonely, just for the guilty. I've started collecting the napkins, dozens now, stacked under my bed like letters from a dead daughter. I read them out loud before I sleep, like bedtime stories. Tonight, I found a new one stuck to my door. "We got your name tag ready. First shift starts at 3. The handwriting's not hers anymore. It's mine. I think I'm going back. If I see her again, maybe I'll finally get to say I'm sorry. Maybe the Crunchwrap will taste like something other than regret. Maybe I'll clock in and never leave again. Maybe that's what she wanted all along. Mom's home." Stockton's a graveyard after midnight. Strip malls with smashed windows, liquor stores with bulletproof glass, and fast food signs flickering like dying stars. I used to work nights at the Amazon warehouse before the shutdown, but now I just exist. Days melt together in smoke breaks and energy drinks. Nights, though, nights belong to her, Lucia Mendoza. They call her Lucky. She works the graveyard shift at Taco Bell No. 419, just off Highway 99. First time I saw her, it was March the 2nd, 2021. I was scrounging change in my glove box and pulled up with enough for a $1 menu item. She handed me my cinnamon twists with this tired, polite smile. Nothing special, not even flirtatious, but it hit different. Like a match in a cave. I started coming back every night. Learned her schedule fast, 10 to 6, Thursdays off. I memorized her rhythm, the way she pulled receipts with one hand while grabbing sauce packets with the other. After a week, I started saving the napkins she touched. By week 3, I knew her favorite lip balm flavor, spotted her car, a dented silver Accord, and once followed her to her apartment complex on March Lane. Just to make sure she got home. Safe, I told myself. Found a hair tie in the Taco Bell parking lot once. Black, a few red strands tangled in it. I slipped it in my pocket like a treasure. When she mentioned her dog, Bruno, a mutt, sounded like a lab mix. I bought a squeaky toy and left it on her windshield. Didn't sign it, just watched from the gas station across the street. It wasn't romantic, not really. I never had the guts to ask her out, but there was something holy about those late-night visits. Like church, if church smelled like fryer oil and Baja Blast, she was the only thing that still made me feel human, until he showed up. He came in around 3:10 a.m. on a Wednesday. Big guy. Long denim jacket, eyes like two dead fish staring through a windshield. Royce Hall, I'd later find out. He ordered 3 double-decker tacos like it was still 2019. That item had been discontinued years ago, but Lucky made them for him anyway. I watched from the second stall in the parking lot, window cracked, cigarette burning low. Lucky smiled at him. Not tired and polite, genuine. I saw her laugh, heard it even. It crawled under my skin like an insect. The next night, he was back. Same order, same smile. This time I stayed until after closing, just to see if she walked out with him. She didn't, but he stood by his semi for a while, facing the highway like he was listening to something inside the wind. 2 days later, I found a napkin on my windshield. Words written in hot sauce. She's mine. Not ketchup. Not mustard. Hot sauce. The runny kind that only Taco Bell carries. My fingers burned when I touched it. That kind of burn that gets under the nails. I kept it though, folded it and tucked it in my glove box next to her old receipts and a baggie of cigarette butts I think she smoked. The next week, I caught Royce outside Lucky's complex. He wasn't parked. He was standing behind her Civic, hands behind his, back like a statue. I didn't get out, just watched him from behind the steering wheel, frozen. He turned, looked right at me, and mouthed something. Just 2 words. Next Thursday. Then he walked away. No car keys. No car. Just vanished into the complex's shadows. That was when I started carrying the box cutter. Lucky always had Thursdays off. That's when the shift was covered by some acne-faced teenager with no personality and slower hands. I hated Thursdays. But this Thursday, I couldn't stay away. I parked near her complex again, walked around the back where the laundry room was. The building smelled like cheap detergent and mildew. I didn't break the lock. I jimmied it with an old Metro card and a butter knife. Easy. Practiced. Inside, the hum of machines filled the air. One dryer spinning. A load of scrubs inside. Purple. Hers. I reached in, pulled them out, still warm, folded them gently, and placed them into a plastic bag like some kind of ritual. It wasn't sexual. It was preservation. Then I heard breathing. Not mine. Royce stood behind the washer, holding a bottle of Gain. His gloves were tight, latex blue like the ones nurses use. He sniffed the open cap, slow, like he was savoring a wine tasting. We locked eyes. He didn't flinch, just tilted his head and mouthed again. Next Thursday. He walked past me like I wasn't even there, like we were both part of some unspoken deal neither of us agreed to. I should have called the cops. Should have told Lucky. But what would I say? Hey, there's a guy sniffing your detergent and writing threats in hot sauce. I didn't sleep that week. I didn't eat either. Just circled Taco Bell number 419 like a buzzard waiting for something to in. When Thursday came again, I was ready. It was September 3rd. 3:17 a.m. Stockton PD arrested me behind Lucky's Civic. I had zip ties, a box cutter, and a roll of duct tape. I was going to talk to her. That's it. Just talk. Scare Royce off. Make her understand. She needed protection. From him. From whatever was happening. Detective Sonia Velasco leaned across the metal table in the interrogation room. "Tell me what you saw," she said. I told her the truth. About Royce, about the detergent, the notes, the way Lucky looked at him differently. She showed me photos. 8 missing fast food workers. 1 girl stuffed in a Taco Bell freezer with her skin peeled like a cheese wrap. I puked in my lap. "You ever see this man?" she asked, pointing at Royce's photo. I nodded. "Funny," she said. "He's not in any security footage. You're always talking to an empty counter. Every night nobody's working." "That's not true. I swear Lucky was real. She knew my order." She laughed. I have her handwriting, napkins, notes. "Where'd you get the cinnamon twists, DJ?" I couldn't answer. My stomach turned. They moved me to solitary after I stabbed a guy with a spork. He joked about ordering a Crunchwrap Supreme. It felt wrong. Nights are quieter now. No light, no sound, except for 3:00 a.m. That's when the voice comes through the vent. Drive-thru or dine-in. It's Lucky's voice. I'd know it anywhere. Warm and automatic. Sometimes I smell fake nacho cheese. Sometimes I hear the soda machine fizz. Last night, a guard slipped a paper bag through the slot. Inside, cold cinnamon twists. No receipt, just a note. "Miss you at the window. L." She was reported missing 3 weeks ago. I still have the napkin. With her handwriting, I don't think I ever left the drive-thru. I was 11 when Taco Bell became more than just dinner. It was 2012, Newark, New Jersey. My mom, Diana, worked late shifts at a nursing home, and money was always tight. Most nights, dinner was whatever we could afford, usually dollar menu Crunchwraps and nachos Bel Grande split between us. The place off Route 22 wasn't exactly clean. Flickering lights, a faint smell of sour mop water, sticky tiles, but it was open and it was cheap. They had this pathetic kids' corner tucked into the side, one dusty slide, a few cracked plastic chairs, and an ancient ball pit that had probably never once been cleaned. I'd sit in there while Mom scrolled job listings on her busted Samsung Galaxy. It was routine, safe even. But on that cold November evening, the air felt different. The sky had that wet, heavy look like it might snow. Mom had just gotten off a 12-hour shift. Her feet hurt. Her mood was worse. She barely said a word as we pulled into the lot. I slipped into the kids' corner like usual, picking a booth near the big window that faced the back alley. That's when I saw him. A man, or someone, stood near the dumpsters in a full-body Taco Bell mascot costume. I didn't even know they had one. Oversized cartoon eyes, a massive sombrero, a creepy frozen grin that was way too wide. The costume was stained and sagging like it had been left in a sewer. He was just standing there, not moving. Then he raised his hand and waved. Not the quick, silly wave you'd expect from a mascot. No, this was slow, purposeful, like he was waving just for me. I blinked. When I looked again, he was gone. I ran back to Mom, my heart hammering. There was a guy outside by the dumpsters, in a weird costume, I swear. She didn't even look up. Probably just some drunk. Don't worry about it, Maddie. But I did worry, because that was the first night I saw him, and it wouldn't be the last. It was 3 nights later when it happened again. Mom had picked up an overnight shift, so my older brother Jake was supposed to babysit. But Jake was 17, moody, and didn't care about much other than his girlfriend. He dropped me off at Taco Bell like I was luggage, muttering, "I'll be back in an hour, don't leave." The place was nearly empty, just a sleepy-looking cashier and some guy in the corner slurping a Baja Blast. I ordered nachos and slid into our usual booth. The lights overhead buzzed faintly. Somewhere in the back, someone laughed at a phone video. Then I saw it. Tucked under my tray was a napkin, folded neatly. At first, I figured someone had just left trash behind, but something about the way it was placed, centered, intentional, made me curious. I unfolded it. Scrawled in shaky, uneven handwriting were the words, "Come play with me. I can show you how to make fire." My fingers went cold. The letters were large, messy, and childlike. written in what looked like purple marker or old ketchup. My heart thudded in my chest. I looked around. Nobody was watching me. Then a sound, a faint rustling, like someone shifting inside a box of dry leaves. It came from the kids' corner. I stood up slowly, scanning the area. The slide sat still. The ball pit looked exactly as grimy and abandoned as ever, but something felt off, like the air had shifted, grown heavier. I walked toward it, carefully, step by step. That's when I noticed the faint smell. Not food. Something burnt, like scorched plastic, like melted cheese left too long under a heat lamp. A part of me wanted to run, to leave and wait outside until Jake came back. But another part, some dumb spark of childhood curiosity, pulled me closer. I stared at the ball pit. The ball shifted. Just once. Like something, someone, was underneath. I shouldn't have moved. I know that now. But back then, I was still, hard kid, still drawn to things that didn't make sense. The balls moved again. A slow roll, like someone adjusting their weight. I crept forward, leaning over the edge of the pit. The air smelled thicker up close, like old grease, sweat, and that same weird burnt smell. I told myself it was just my imagination, just leftover anxiety from the napkin. Then I saw it, a gloved hand. Pale fabric stretched over plastic fingers, sticking out just enough to grab the edge of the ball pit. And then it moved. The hand shot up and latched onto my ankle. Hard. I screamed, louder than I ever had before. My body kicked into survival mode. I kicked, thrashed, fell backward onto the sticky floor tiles. The mascot's grip was ice cold, but I wrenched myself free. I scrambled backward, crashing into a trash bin. I could hear my breath rasping in my ears. The cashier ran over from behind, the counter. "Kid, you all right? What the hell?" I pointed, my voice cracking. "Someone's in there, in the pit." He looked confused, then poked his head into the kid's corner. Nothing. The ball pit was still, silent. No hand, no mascot. Just a few balls, scattered on the floor like someone had knocked into it. They searched the whole area, even called the cops. But there was nothing. No man in a costume, no napkin, no smell. Just my shaky voice and a puddle of spilled nacho cheese I hadn't even noticed. I kept repeating what I saw, but they all gave me that same look, half worried, half doubting. Mom picked me up in a rush. She didn't say anything on the drive home, just gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. She never let me go back there again. But that didn't stop the dreams. After that night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw the face. Cartoonishly wide smile, sagging fabric, giant sombrero cocked to the side like a melting pancake. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding. Sometimes I'd scream. Sometimes I'd just stare at the ceiling, waiting for sunrise. Mom thought it was trauma. Jake thought I was messing around for attention, but I knew better. Something followed me home that night. Not in a literal way, there was never anything there, but in the shadows, in the smells, in the silence. One night, about 2 weeks later, I was up late watching cartoons on mute, trying to distract myself. The house was still. Mom asleep in her room, Jake out God knows where. That's when I smelled it again. Burnt nacho cheese. I got up, sniffing the air. I hadn't eaten anything. The kitchen was clean, but the smell was unmistakable, synthetic, scorched, sour. And then came the voice, a whisper, soft, raspy. "Come play." I froze. It sounded like it came from the heating vent above my bed. I stood there, heart thudding. I wanted to scream, but my throat locked up. The whisper came again, longer this time. "Come play with me. I can make fire." That
night, I didn't sleep at all. I sat in my closet with a flashlight and a baseball bat until the sun came up.
Mom found me there in the morning, eyes bloodshot, hands shaking. We started eating at the diner down the street after that. It was more expensive, but Mom said she'd work extra hours. We never talked about Taco Bell again. Not really, but sometimes, especially, In winter, I still smell it. That fake cheese scent mixed with grease and melted plastic. And sometimes late at night the vent clicks on and I swear, I still hear him. Years passed. We moved out of Newark when I was 15. Mom remarried, got a better job, found peace. Jake joined the army. Life moved on. But I never forgot that night. Never forgot the hand, the napkin, the whisper. I started researching years later, after I got into college. Late-night rabbit holes on local forums, posts about hauntings, urban legends, weird mascots. Most were fake. But then I found a thread buried deep in a paranormal forum. Anyone remember the Taco Bell mascot with the sombrero? A few replies. You mean the one from the 90s? That costume got pulled after a kid caught fire in a ball pit. Newark Route 22, right? I remember that place. Shut down for a while after a grease fire in the kitchen killed a janitor. And then this reply. Still see him sometimes. Only at night. Only in the empty restaurants. It chilled me. I tried to go back once just to look. The building was still there. A new fast food joint had replaced it, but the corner where the kids' corner used to be, it was still boarded up, and just for a second as I sat in my car, engine idling, I saw him, standing in the alley, same crooked hat, same frozen grin. He didn't wave this time, just stared. I drove off and never looked back, but I still carry the napkin in my drawer, still smell that burnt cheese on cold nights. And sometimes, just before sleep, I hear him whisper, "Come play. I can make fire." Back then, nights had a rhythm. Me and Luis would get off our shift at the 24-hour laundromat on Maple Street. Bleach-stained uniforms, tired feet, smelling like lint and detergent, and walk 3 blocks to the only place that stayed open past midnight, Taco Bell on Holloway Road. Redwood Springs wasn't much. You blink, you miss it. A tired town with more pawn shops than streetlights. But Luis and I made it feel like something. He was always cracking jokes, even when there wasn't anything funny to say. Especially when there wasn't. Taco Bell was our spot. Booth by the window, across from the cracked soda machine, and under that broken security camera. Every night, we'd order the same thing. 2 crunchy tacos each, and he'd spring for a cheesy gordita crunch if we had tips left. We didn't talk about our future much. It always felt like it had come too fast anyway. We were content being stuck for... Now that night, March 3rd, I remember everything. Luis was in one of his unpredictable moods, spinning an empty hot sauce packet between his fingers like a coin. He'd swiped a tiny tequila bottle from his older cousin and was nursing it under the table like we were in some dive bar. I told him he was being stupid, but I smiled anyway. It was him. That was Luis. He pointed at the dumb statue in the corner. "Yo, tell me that thing doesn't look like it eats kids." It was Taco the Chihuahua, some old corporate mascot no one under 30 remembered. The paint was faded like it had been left out in the sun too long. One eye was scratched off, probably by some kid with a key. The smile, though, that's what got me. Too wide, too eager. "Probably runs the register at night," I joked. Luis grinned, raised his bottle like a toast. To Taco, may he never starve. We both laughed. But when I glanced back at the statue, its eye was glinting, and I swear I heard a whisper. At first I thought it was the tequila messing with us. A whisper, soft, raspy. "Be careful what you wish for." I spun around fast. The kitchen window was dark. Nobody at the register, no movement behind the counter. "Did you hear that?" I asked. Luis was grinning, the bottle hanging loosely in his fingers. "Hear what? You're jumpy tonight, bro?" I laughed, shaky. Told him I was getting napkins. Maybe I just needed a second away. The air around that statue felt off, like standing near a power box buzzing too loud, a low vibration under your skin. I went to the napkin station near the soda fountain, refilled my cup while I was at it. Took maybe a minute. 2, tops. When I turned back to our booth, he was gone. Luis's food was still there. His phone too. Screen cracked from the time he dropped it skateboarding behind the laundromat. Still on, still unlocked. But he was gone. I looked around. Bathroom door was open, no one inside, nobody at the front. The kitchen was dark, except for the emergency light glowing above the freezer, and the statue. It had moved. I swear to God, it had. Before it was sitting on its haunches, one paw raised like it was begging. Now it stood upright, teeth showing, tongue hanging out like it was laughing, or drooling. I stepped closer. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. That's when I heard it. A wet crunch, like someone biting into something soft. Chewing. Sloppy, sticky chewing. Then a voice. Faint. Desperate. Help me. I ran toward the kitchen but slammed into the swinging door like a cartoon character. Stumbled back, cut my forehead on the corner of the counter. Everything after that's a blur. Blood in my eyes, legs shaking, hands clawing at the exit. Remember the night air hitting my face, cold. Real. I don't remember screaming, but someone said I did. When I came to, I was in Redwood General. The fluorescent lights were too bright, the sheets too white, and my head was stitched and bandaged like I'd survived a car crash. A nurse with tired eyes asked if I knew what day it was. I said, "Where's Luis?" They didn't answer. Later, 2 cops showed up. Not the friendly neighborhood kind. They looked more confused than suspicious, but that would change. I told them what I could. I went for napkins, came back, Luis was gone. I heard a sound, a voice. The statue had moved. The older one, Detective Garcia, just stared at me like I'd spoken in tongues. The younger guy, Ellis, kept scribbling notes. "The security footage shows you entering," he said slowly, then running out 8 minutes later. "No sign of your friend ever arriving, no other customers, no kitchen staff." "That's not possible," I argued. "His food was there, his phone. We found your fingerprints on everything." Garcia cut in. "Yours alone." I felt sick. Luis's mom came by the next day. She hugged me so hard it hurt. Her eyes were red and swollen, makeup smudged like someone had tried to paint over grief. "You were the last one to see him," she whispered. What happened? I wanted to tell her, really tell her. But how do you say a statue ate my best friend without sounding insane? I said I didn't know. That I left for a second and he was just gone. They searched the restaurant, top to bottom. Dogs, drones, nothing. Said the building had structural concerns, whatever that means. It closed down 2 weeks later, boarded up, no explanation. But I still see it when I drive past. Sometimes I think I see something staring back, something small, with ears that poke up just enough to catch the streetlight. Luis's mom started putting up missing posters around town. Gas stations, school bulletin boards, the corner liquor store. I helped her once, stapling his face to a light pole right, across from Taco Bell. She cried quietly like she'd run out of tears weeks ago, but kept pretending she had more. His little sister Camilla cornered me outside the laundromat one day. She was 9, maybe 10. She looked up at me, eyes too big for her face. "Do you think he's coming back?" I couldn't answer. I just knelt and hugged her. That Taco Bell became a ghost. Boarded windows, graffiti tags, rust creeping up the frame. But no one dared break in. Rumor was someone tried, some teenagers from the high school. Said they heard barking from inside. Left a trail of urine down the sidewalk on the way out. I didn't laugh. Every now and then I drive by, just to make sure it's still locked up. One night I saw a shape in the window. Small, crouched, eyes reflecting red in my headlights. I blinked. Gone. I barely sleep now. When I do, it's full of strange dreams. Luis is always there, trapped behind a kitchen door I can't open, or inside a booth, pounding the table, his voice muffled. Once I saw him wearing the statue's head like a costume, blood dripping down his neck. Still chewing. I haven't told anyone. They'd lock me up. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And I know Luis didn't just disappear. It's been 6 years. I moved across town, got a job at a mechanic shop, try to keep busy. But some nights, especially the quiet ones, I can't stop thinking about that booth, that statue, that sound. Taco Bell near 417 on Holloway Road is gone now. Demolished. Nothing but a chain-link fence and a patch of gravel. But the nightmares didn't go with it. Last month I got a call from an unknown number. Static, then chewing, slow, wet, endless. I hung up, blocked it. The next day there was a note under my windshield wiper. You left me behind. I don't talk to Luis's mom anymore. What could I say? That something evil lives behind fast food tiles and paper napkins. That I think about going back, breaking into whatever hole the creature crawled into and dragging Luis out. I keep a bottle of lighter fluid in my trunk now, just in case. If I ever hear his voice again or see that twisted smile through the fog, I won't run. Not this time. But deep down, I know it's already too late. Because some nights when the wind dies, down and the streets go quiet, I still hear it, chewing. I never imagined I'd end up working graveyard shifts at a rundown fast food joint. But when bills started stacking up and Mom's prescriptions drained every dollar I made, I couldn't afford to be picky. Taco Blanco, the poor man's Taco Bell knockoff, offered $12 an hour and didn't ask many questions. It sat just off the highway, a tired building with a flickering neon sign and floors that stayed sticky no matter how often we mopped. I started on a Wednesday. The manager, Lisa, was all smiles, but it didn't take long to feel the weirdness. Ricky was the night guy I replaced half the week. Gaunt, pale, eyes too big for his face. On my third shift, just as he was clocking out, he grabbed my arm. Lock the doors at 3 a.m., don't check the meat freezer, and don't ever eat the triple layer taco. I laughed, thought it was some hazing ritual, but he looked dead serious. Then he handed me a beat-up notebook. No explanation, just shoved it in my chest and left. That night, business was slow. I cleaned tables, restocked cups, and tried not to think about Ricky's warning. At around 2:30 a.m., a strange smell crept in, like spoiled meat and bleach. I ignored it. That was my first mistake. At 2:45, the smell got stronger. It came in waves, heavy and sweet. I was refilling the hot sauce bin when I heard a giggle. A child's laugh, soft and echoing. I froze. The place was empty. No cars outside, no customers, no kids. The sound came again, this time from the ceiling vent. I tried to brush it off, maybe it was rats or the pipes groaning, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. Out of instinct, I looked out the front window. A tall man stood under the busted streetlight, barely visible. He wore a tattered mariachi suit, the red sash soaked in dark. His face looked off, like it had been drawn by someone who'd never seen a real person. Too many teeth, like a Halloween mask left out in the sun. I slammed the lock button on the door. 3 a.m. hit. Everything went quiet. Dead quiet. I grabbed Ricky's notebook, flipping through the pages. Scribbles, drawings, and one phrase repeated over and over. Don't let them in. Bang, bang, bang. A slow knock echoed from the drive-thru window. I crept over, heart in my throat. The mariachi man stood there grinning. He held a wrapped taco, steam rising from the paper. My headset buzzed on by itself. Eat, never be hungry again. His voice was wet and low, like he was gurgling sauce in his throat. I backed away, knocking over a tower of napkin packs. The taco was now on the counter. I hadn't opened the window. I noticed the freezer door was ajar. I shouldn't have gone near it, but I did. The smell hit me like a wall. I pulled it open and saw what looked like a human arm wrapped in butcher paper. A faded tattoo peeked out, Ricky's daughter's name. My stomach dropped. Stacked behind it were dozens of tacos, triple layer. I slammed the door shut and stumbled backward. The window was empty now. The taco was gone. I didn't care. I ran. I don't remember the parking lot, just blackness. Next thing I knew, I was halfway down the highway, barefoot, blood on my palms from falling. A trucker pulled over and took me to the ER. Cops showed up later. I told them everything. The mariachi man, the freezer, Ricky. They wrote it off as a breakdown, told me the cameras showed nothing, said I was hallucinating from exhaustion. Taco Blanco closed the next day. Structural issues. Ricky was never found. I work at a gas station now, day shifts only, keep to myself. But sometimes around 3 a.m. I swear I see the Taco Blanco sign flicker back on, even though the building's boarded up. There are rumors. Missing. Pets. A kid vanished on Halloween near the dumpsters. People laugh it off. Say it's just a curse chain. But I know better. Last week, someone left a bag on my front step. Inside was a triple-layer taco. Still warm. There was a note. Eat. Never. Be hungry again. I burned it all, but the smell, it lingers.